Okay.
Okay, so let's get started. Short intro is I'm Khalid Safi, Muslim. Jay here is Christian. Nosom or Nate, for I think the anglicized name is
it's not Jewish.
Jewish. Oh, we went for Jewish after all, yeah. And then also believes in one God, but obviously, as you're saying, that's his ethnicity, but not his kind of necessarily. He knows what his ideology is, but the point of this show is to give practical solutions to white Western men's problems. It's very specific, and I do this because I think the solutions are easy. That's where I come from. It's a mindset thing, and I feel pain that Western men are really suffering at the moment, and I think they don't need to. And the format is we're just going to listen to this video about 2 minutes, and then see if we agree with the wisdom in it. Can we add to it, etc. Let's go.
I could just say, Khalid, I've never heard
Jay.
you say that before. That this program it's for white Western men.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't say that before. I thought I said that. Okay, cool. So, I mean, how do you feel about that? Because I think I'm trying to make it as focused and as useful as possible, right? So Western problems are different to Eastern problems. Saying white is a really short way of saying, I think, was it Nosom you were telling me, or somebody else was saying a more precise way of saying that would be working class, average Joe.
I think you're more targeting what you're thinking of. You're really thinking of working class. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
The kind of problems that you're discussing is more to do with working class. Like, for example, people that go to Eton I don't think they will understand where you're coming from, what you're talking about.
Different problems, exactly. Yeah. And just trying to be targeted so I can be actually helpful. Average Joe Western guy.
Right.
How do you feel about it, Jay?
White, so it's white people.
Well, I say white because white people are different to brown, have got different issues to brown people. And the kind of issues we're talking about
I don't think it's about color of your skin. It's to do with culture. There's certain cultures.
Yes, because there are Arab white
people. There's many in just like I was saying before. There's people in Britain that are white that have different cultures.
Yes.
For example, I gave one example was upper class British people, middle class British people. There's also, let's say, Polish people. They're going to have a different a situation than white working class people. I think what you're talking about. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not white working class.
I'm being a bit rude, but you can give the precise. Go on, Nosom. Give the precise.
No. I'm just saying. I think it's better that the people that are more relevant to they can talk about it themselves, but I'm just saying it just seems to me that what you're talking about is what is working class people, white.
Yeah, but and it's sort of not the Pakistanis just got off the boat or something. They've got the different kinds of problems. We're talking about Western problems, really. I think that makes sense. Does it? I mean, Jay, that's what we're here for mainly, isn't it? What do you think?
No, I'm not. But
okay. Okay. Who you targeting? If you could summarize it really quick before we play this video.
Anyone. It's
okay.
I didn't realize it was like a white nationalist thing.
No,
white power. It's white power.
Yeah, white power. We're trying to get white power back. We're trying to repopulate Britain with white people, stuff like that. Like African people would have different issues. I don't know. But anyway, let's go for it. Let's just I genuinely, if I can help even a brown person, a black person, doesn't really matter really. Just helping is good. But I do think people have got different problems. Anyway, let's play this.
Hard when you're not where you want to be in life, and if you're listening to this and you're just not satisfied with your position in life, it's hard to think that way. All you want is that thing. But you got to somewhere along the line figure out how to enjoy yourself. Somewhere along the line, figure out how to just go as hard as you can, but also enjoy it. Try to enjoy it, because that changes the whole tone of the experience. And I think that makes you more successful. I really do, because I think you have more energy, you have more focus, and you collect better energy around you from other people. They feel your energy. They're inspired by the way you live your life and how you treat people and what you do and how you do things, and they want to do a similar thing. They want to do something that makes them feel that way, and they want other people to feel that way as well. And it's got the butterfly effect. It just goes through all the people that are around you. You need one good day where you eat clean, you drink a lot of water, and you, like you did, you got that day, you woke up, you put your shoes on, you went for a run, you worked out your driveway, you got a good day in.
Yep.
That's sometimes all you need to do, and decide, this is what I do from now on. I have good days.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's going to be another good day, and then I'm going to force myself into another good day. And the next thing you know, I've got some momentum.
Right.
You got some momentum, you can change everything.
Yep.
I've felt many times in my life, I've felt like I could slip the wrong way, and I see it. I see the dark hole, and I go, fuck that, and just go the other way. The problem is when people fall into that dark hole, they think that defines them, but it doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't define you. It's just you right now. You could be totally different tomorrow. You're a human being. You can think, you can adjust, and there's so much inspiration. It's one of the beautiful things about your Instagram page and many, many other Instagram pages is that you can take, if you curate your feed correctly and you don't follow a bunch of knuckleheads, you can go to your Instagram or to whatever social media platform you like, and you can go and check out a lot of cool shit.
Oh man,
and you feel good about it. You get fired up, and you want to do good with your life. It's just
cool. So that's the clip. It was a lot longer than I'm used to. I like to start off my initial reaction, and that is that I would say it's true that if you work on the small things, you end up with solving the big problems, and you've got to enjoy those small things every day. Like our problem, in short, is that we want to be like heroes, and we want to be special and important, and that really holds us back. If we could just enjoy every day doing something good, we don't realize how happy that would make us, and we would be successful in the long term because we won't be held back by feeling of we're not good enough and why haven't we made it, that kind of stuff. So that's my short version. Nosom, your feelings, thoughts?
Well, I mean, first of all, I agree, and I think that, I mean, for me, maybe it's a little bit difficult because I've always wanted to do big things, but I also recognize that it's also it's held me back. So, yeah, I agree. Yeah,
cool. Yeah, I want to do big things. I still want to do big things, because just how I can be helpful, but I also do really small things all the time, right? Like, I don't know, making all sorts of cool apps that could help loads of people. Why not? Yeah, and just there's endless small little projects that I'm working on, like teaching people for free or something like that, and those kind of things might make a big deal, might not, but I'm not too concerned as long as that's what I can do, that's what I'm available, or that's my capacity at the moment. Anyway, so yeah, and I think if people, I genuinely feel like people who are just stuck, it's a real shame, because when you're stuck, it's not just stuck, it's really painful. I know loads of people are really depressed and not getting anywhere for such a long time. That's a miserable place to be. So it's like, I like the empathy with which Joe Rogan is just like, just take the first step. Don't worry about a million steps in the future. Yeah, I had a bunch of quotes, but I don't know where they've gone. I put them in the comments before the stream started, but basically they go something along the lines of from Prophet Muhammad, but it doesn't matter who it's from, it's like wisdom. It said something like, if you just solve the problem at hand, then the rest of everything else will get solved, essentially, because all you do is solve one problem at a time. And that's what I found. Practically it works, and it's actually really enjoyable solving problems if you're not trying to be a big shot right in the beginning, just enjoying solving problems, taking a little step forward to be helpful. If you've got that in mind, that's incredibly powerful. I was watching a video about just before this about a guy who used to be incredibly scared of everything. And he said one of the tricks was to take yourself out of the center of the world. I'm paraphrasing. That's how I say it, right? Like you stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about other people. Solves everything. I don't know. What do you think, Nossum? Anyone? Do you agree? Disagree?
Yeah, I think it's true. I think I don't know. I mean, I think like in my life, that's what I experienced. So I think it's true on one hand. On the other hand, I think I've also experienced that. I think maybe you can. I think you can also be only thinking about other people and not taking care of yourself.
How often does that happen? Is that a real problem?
I think it happens all the time. I mean,
Interesting.
Look, you've got. Here's the thing: you got billions of people. There's some problems that are 90%. There's problems that are 50%. There's problems 10%. There's problems at 1%. There's like There's all ranges of percentages of problems. So, but I think when it comes to that, I think it's quite high. I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people are like end up to be doormats, or like they devote themselves to helping others, and then they don't really take care of themselves. Yeah, I think it's quite common.
Yeah, okay. So there are some people who escape their own problems by trying to solve the world's problems. That can be a thing.
But even people that are helping people, so it's not just about they might not be trying to solve the world's problems. They simply put an effort into helping others, but then they don't help themselves. And I think that's also quite common. So it's not like people that are dreamers; they're doing practical things, but their focus is on others and not on themselves.
Yeah. Okay.
A journey 1,000 miles. Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to get away from this thing that I mean, I want to attack the problem that maybe it's easier said than done. Like a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. That sounds like, yeah, of course, that makes sense. But you might say, why would I want to go on, this journey of 1,000 miles? It's really daunting, and I think my approach is I don't know if I'm going to be alive tomorrow. It's just about what can I do today? What can I start today that somebody else might continue tomorrow? And just keep going. Just work on what you can every single day and feel like you've done your duty. And that sense of duty gives you a lot of energy just to keep going, and amazing things get done. So it's really weird that if you stop thinking about just trying to be successful and just trying to do cool things, I mean good things, which are often cool as well, big things just get done. And there was another video that I watched recently. This is a really interesting idea, that success actually kills the fun. When you achieve your success, when you're finally successful, that you don't actually want to do that. You want to just be always on the journey. And the example that this lady gave, she's a psychologist, is really funny. It's like when you're small and you want to press the button on the lift and you can barely reach it, and so you're always excited to press the button, or a zebra crossing or whatever it is, right? But when you finally are big enough and it's really easy to do, you're no longer excited. Like, when was the last time, Nossum, you were excited about pressing the lift button? Do you know what I mean?
Every time.
Every time. You mean it's still hard to reach?
Oh, very good, very good.
I'm joking. We're the same height. We can say that.
I think I'm a bit taller than you.
Oh, you're taller than me. Okay, yeah. I still have problems. Yeah. But
I'll help you.
The idea.
I'll help
you.
Yeah.
I'll get on your shoulders. Okay. But you get the idea, right? Once you can achieve something, it's no longer like fun. That's how we're built, right? So it's a really useful thing to know that actually we enjoy the journey and the struggle. but even that sounds like cliche. We enjoy the struggle. Who enjoys a struggle? Like, unless you feel it's meaningful.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
some pushback, because this is real life. We both struggle in both this kind of stuff,
Well,
right?
I'll tell you something. There's a few issues here. So
Yeah.
the truth, number one, I didn't think I was going to be. I thought there was going to be other people. I just thought I was going to be watching. So I didn't really.
I think
didn't
somebody just dropped out. That's why.
Yeah,
I
I think
got
I
annoyed.
like power. Maybe I didn't
Yeah,
mean it.
yeah.
I meant it as a joke, but maybe.
No, it could be me. It could be annoyed with me as well. Don't worry.
Yeah. All right. But
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thing is like this: is that so I wasn't really me personally. Yeah, the kind of format that I prefer is actually a little bit different. I prefer a format where everybody's on the video, everybody can see each other, so you can feel the room, so you don't feel, so you don't feel uncomfortable. That's
Sure.
number one. Number two, another thing is that I prefer to talk about people that are actually going through issues, because what we're doing now is philosophy, and I like philosophy. Philosophy is very, very nice.
Sure.
But I think when it comes to talking about people's issues, I think it's much more.
Okay, I'm human. I'm going through those issues. We're all going through those issues. Just because I'm solving them to some extent doesn't mean I'm not. And I solved. Yeah, go on.
I
And
mean,
it's good that I solved them to some extent as well. It's useful to know.
I mean, I think there's a few issues here. I mean, I think when you say like take one step at a time, yeah. I think it's true, but like, let's say if we were to look at people that are successful, yeah, I don't know, let's say Bill Gates, people that are considered successful, and maybe they're bad role models because money and
they're messed
power
up.
and this and that, and it's not about their spiritual growth. It's just that they're running big companies.
Yeah, certain very basic outcomes that are not doesn't measure everything else that they happen.
Yeah, so it may be the wrong metric, but just for the argument's sake, those kind of projects they're always based on a dream. Not always, but usually they're based.
You have to have vision, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So they have vision. They got a big dream. Now the thing is, when it comes with big dream, the bigger the dream, the less people can do it, because you can't have everybody having a big dream. Because the whole point of a big dream is that people follow that to make it big, right? So you can't have many big dreams, right? So
sure. I mean, there's a visionary who gets everybody on board,
exactly,
and everybody else doesn't really have to totally get it. They just like do their
bit. They can see the vision, but it's not their vision. They're joining somebody else's vision. That's what I mean.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So I think that the issue is not necessarily. Now I think that in the spiritual realm, I think it's the same thing. People, unfortunately, I think that we live in a society where, capitalism is very successful. If you want to build a company, there's many people that are successful and doing it. But to build a positive social movement, it's almost impossible. I mean, you've got communism that didn't work out very nicely. There's all sorts of, you got what do you call it? Woke culture. I don't think it's a positive thing. It's very difficult to get a positive social movement happening. Maybe let's say the last positive social movement.
I mean, I've seen loads. I think, okay, so I get where you're coming from.
I mean, a very, very large scale, very large scale positive.
Why does it have to be the metric? Why isn't it good enough that? So me and you, we both. I don't know if you both agree, but both of you've already said you're Jewish, right? So both the Torah and the Quran say that if you save the life of one person, it's like saving all of humanity. What a beautiful thing. That's why I just go for, like, if I help one person, that's it. I'm happy.
Technically, it doesn't say that in the Quran. It says that in the Torah. It says that.
Yeah. That's right. You're well versed. Excellent.
I looked it up.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. So the point is, but it's agreeing. That's the point. Either way, it doesn't matter, right? So the point is, it's a beautiful way of looking at things. And nowadays, we're just like, oh, if I had 1 million views, that thing kills our ability to be successful. This is exactly why I love what Joe Rogan is saying. Like, don't start with the big stuff. That kills everything. Just do the right thing every day, and beautiful things happen. They compound. Have you heard of there's like it's kind of like there's a long, complicated name for this, but it's basically 1% better every day. Have you ever heard of anything like that along those lines?
1% better every day? No.
Okay, so this is called compounding something. It's like a complicated name, right? But if you search it, 1%
Compound
better every
improvement.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, compound improvement essentially, right? And the story goes like there's this the manager of some British cycling team, and they've never won anything for, I don't know, 100 years or something. And then all they did was focused on the tiny things, like better pillow, better whatever. And they kept on improving on the tiny things. And the result was they won endless gold medals, whatever, right? I think there's a lot of truth in that and how that works. Just keep working on the small things, big things happen. And I think that's part. Go on.
Yeah,
Push
but
back,
I think they're working on the small things as a must. So I agree with that. But that's not really my point. Is not whether you should work on the small things, but rather should you have a vision? Should you have a big vision or not? I think that's the question, because those two are not mutually exclusive. I think people that have a big vision are successful, or obviously have a big vision, but also work on the small things. So I think that we agree on working on the small things, but I'm not sure I agree that we shouldn't have a big vision.
Oh, I'm glad you said the big vision thing, because you know what? I internalize a lot of things and I forget about them, right? So I internalize the idea that I'm looking, I can see a better world. It's like so reachable for me. Like it's just mind shifts and stuff like that. Like, if everybody realized three things, basic things about humanity, and this is one of the things I thought is essential to being able to keep going on this journey of 1,000 miles of tiny steps, right? If you knew three things about yourself, and they're supported by psychology, is that one, we like unity. The second thing is we like to serve people. And another thing is we like to be devoted to God. And that's actually known by psychologists as well, or at least aware of God. And being devoted to God is essentially another way of saying reaching for a higher ideal, and that's supported by so many different things, like the dopamine system, which is designed to make us keep reaching for higher and higher goals. Right? There's so many things that support that. So if we knew those essential elements of who we are and what motivates us, and we kept on doing those things, we could just keep going. And I think that's what Joe Rogan kind of touched on right at the end. Like he said something like helping people and just making things a little bit better. Yeah.
I tell you what, I think that what Joe Rogan's talking about is simply about getting yourself out of a rut. It's like, think of yourself as an engine. You know,
Yeah.
you need to get that thing, the momentum, and it's talking about how to get the momentum. So, you know, you kind of, you take that one step, then you take another step, and then the engine starts running, and it's like, you know, flop, 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 and it starts up. And I think, and that's what he's talking about. He's not talking about where the engine's going. That's the vision part.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I think you made that's a really important point that you're making, that you also need a direction. You can't just be taking steps nowhere. That's really important.
Yeah.
And you want to feel like you're going somewhere.
And often that's the reason why the engine cuts out, is because it's going too hard, and you just get tired out. You get what's the word, burnt out, and you end up
Let's deal with that, because that's the thing that stops people. That's the reason why people don't take the 1,000 steps. They take like 2-3 steps and then they feel burnt out.
No, I don't think people are taking 2-3 steps and getting burnt out. I think what's happening is they're taking millions of steps, but not getting anywhere, and that's why they get burnt out. They don't necessarily take. They're frustrated. They don't. I mean, this is me. Okay, forget about they. Me. I get frustrated, and I you keep running and running, not getting anywhere. Not enough self-care, and not enough getting anywhere, and not enough like a variety in your life of other things besides I want to achieve something.
Yeah.
So
no, these are really important things you're saying.
Yeah. So I think all these things come together. So you know, and
Can
once
we
you're
touch on
burnt out,
each of those things? Because each of those things are incredibly important. Like you said, the lack of variety. Like when you're trying to be super successful, you go all in. A lot of people go all in on trying to be successful, and then you feel like that you're taking millions of steps. But I feel like a lot of people actually, maybe it's true because I underestimate how many.
well, people that
but,
are not successful are often taking steps on a hamster wheel. So it's not getting anywhere. It doesn't mean they're not taking steps. It just means they're not getting anywhere. Two separate things.
sure.
Taking steps means you're using energy and you're doing movement, right? Steps can mean two different things. Steps mean you're moving in a certain direction, and steps can mean your legs are moving, right?
Yes.
Those are two very different things.
Yes.
Right?
Okay. So let's deal with each of those problems because each of them are incredibly important. Like you said, for example, that there's not enough variety in your life. And I think maybe what you're pointing at is that when you're going all out trying to be successful, you might put to one side your social needs, all sorts of other personal needs. Okay.
Exactly.
And I'm going to give a really quick solution, middle way. Okay, middle way in the long way and a slow way. So what do I mean by that? Middle way means you keep up with your friends because you have a duty to your friends as well, right? You can. I listened to the guy who runs Airbnb. He's like 40 something, and he said like, yeah, I went all out and became really successful, but I've got no friends now, and I really have to struggle. That's a big deal for me now. That kind of stuff, and he's not married and all that stuff. So, and he feels a bit crap about that. So, you know, and I want people to be successful long term, and people I think might be in too much of a rush to be big shots, and me too. Yeah, that's constant ego thing that's drawing me, and I want to be successful right now.
Especially you.
Yeah. So, like, okay, I'll give you like a micro example. Working with my brother on this app. He's not really working on it, but he's like, oh, if you could just do this thing. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to get this thing. I told him it would be done in 1 week, 2 weeks. It's been like a month and a half or something. And I was rushing to it. And I was getting frustrated in the last few days. And I'm like, hang on a minute. Forget it. Like, I'm going to do it properly, slowly. And it will take 1 or 2 weeks and it'll get done. And it's a huge deal when it gets done.
By the way, do you use AI?
I mean?
Have you tried to use AI for coding?
Yeah. So it's a normal tool for coding now.
Yeah.
So it's always kind of like I'm always asking AI for it's just replaced the Google search. So before Google search, I don't want to get all technical, but that's
no. Keep at that.
Yeah. So so there's constant pull to get things done quicker, and you might say, why do you have to get it done faster than it is? It's a random number, isn't it? Like, what's the difference between 1 week and 2 weeks? Do you know what I mean? But if you do it in 2 weeks and you do it calmly and you're not stressed about it and you're getting all the other things you have to do that are important in your life, like your family, your friends and whatever, you know, and your friends are important. They're not just things that are to benefit you. You're supposed to care for your friends. You have to care for other people. So if I was going to go a really short answer, a genuine best answer, middle way. Middle way, do everything middle way, take it a bit longer, do it the middle way. Don't go extreme one way or the other. What do you think about that?
My philosophy in general is that real life doesn't really work well with philosophy. Like
let's brutally does it. Do you think it could work for you? Forget philosophy. Let's talk about you.
I mean principles. I mean, when you're talking about principles, everybody's different. Every situation's different, and the best thing is when somebody's got a situation, right? You figure out their situation with somebody's got a, you figure out your own situation. And hopefully, if you can do it with somebody else and they can help you, that's great. But you need to figure out your own situation. Everybody's different. There's no point in having principles. I think the problem with principles is that they generalize, and generalize is just the average. It's like saying, the average amount of food. Oh, that's a really funny one. How did it go? The average person is Chinese. So if you have a that's what it was. I remember what it was. Like 1 in 4 people are Chinese. So if you have 4 kids, one of them will probably be Chinese.
Okay.
Averages. Averages
Sure,
don't work in your real life. You need to actually figure out your own situation exactly,
yes,
not principles. Principles
I agree with that. Let me
they
tell
can
you what I
help
mean by
you in as a rule of thumb, but at the end of the day,
yeah.
you have to work out your own life in the real in reality.
I think there are you do I think that's I think you do need clear guidance. Otherwise we feel lost, and I think that's one of the major problems in the West. So here's the clear version or a clearer version of what I just said about finding the middle way. Like, okay, let's say you got really good biceps, okay, or big biceps. Mine are like almost non-existent, right? So my middle way is like the 1 kilogram or something, and your middle way would be 10 kilograms. It's relative to where you are at the moment. That's it. And I think that's really practical, because if you can easily do million lines of code and I can only do one, my middle way is the 1, you do the million lines of code, cool. Yeah, and then but you can do the million lines of code and socialize and spend a bit of time with your friends, but not too much. And a bit of time with your mum, not too much. Get everything done, and that way it's sustainable.
Yeah, everything needs balance, but what that means is that's what I'm trying to say. In the real world, what that means is different for everybody. That's what I mean.
That's fine. So that means we agree that. Do we agree that we're all in different parts of that journey? We've got different strengths and weaknesses. According to that, we have balance. And that's the key thing, isn't it? It's not exactly the number. It's like, can we sustain it? And what's the key way to sustain it? The balance.
No, but I mean, my point is that balance is a complex thing, not a simple thing. For example, let's say I said to you, everything needs balance. Okay, so I've got a battery, and I say this battery is perfect, it's balanced. You know what a balanced battery is? It's a dead battery. Okay, in order for it to function, it needs to be out of balance, right? So you've got more energy on pulling on one side and more pushing on the other side in order for the circuit to work, right? But in the context of the system, right, it depends what you mean by balance. In a sense, that is balance because it's the correct battery for the system, right? So in that sense, it's balanced. But what I'm saying is that when you just have these principles, look, let's put it this way. Maybe there's somebody online that's got a specific question that we can deal with something like specific, so that we can something specific.
Like a question. I don't think there are any questions, but I'll give you questions, I guess. Do you know what I mean?
No, but I mean something in somebody's personal life that can actually work through a real issue. Do you think that's a thing? Do you think that's possible?
I mean, I don't know if it here, but I think I think all I can do is offer what I can, isn't it? Like, if there was a person who asked a specific question, then we'd answer the question. But it's not there. You know what I mean? This is the time we've got. And I think this is a really important thing. Okay, so I'll tell you another issue. And it could be a theoretical issue. I'm only guessing. So we had Jay on, and this is a common problem, I think. Jay might have got upset. Who knows, right? That the exact purpose wasn't to his liking, even though I said, like, you know what, if you're here to help anybody, I'm happy for that as well. Okay, now I do feel a lot of people get upset with things that aren't really consequential, like, just, are you here to help? That's it. And I if I was trying to summarize what I'm trying to say is, like, just I think we get one of the reasons why, let's put it nice and racist way, but you get where I'm going. White people keep kind of giving up on, struggling at the moment, is that every tiny thing is a big deal. Why is it a big deal? We need to overcome that, and you can overcome that if you got your principle, which is you're simply here to help. Like, if somebody insults me, it's like, not a big deal. I'm here to help. Doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? So if we can focus on just being helpful, then we can overcome most problems.
I don't agree. I don't agree with the attitude, because I think that anybody. I mean, there was somebody that commented a while back that said that they're not suffering, and obviously there's people that are suffering. There's people not suffering in every single group. But let's say people that are suffering, regardless which group, I don't think it's helpful to say, to be dismissive of their problems. Well, all you need to do is this, because you never know how deep someone's problem is. You never know what they're going through, and I mean, I don't think it's helpful. I just don't think it's helpful.
What's not helpful? I'm not sure which bit is the it.
I don't think it means the attitude of saying it's not a big deal. What you have is not a big problem. I don't think such an attitude is helpful, and I don't think. I think that people are incredibly deep. Like, people's lives are incredibly deep. People's where they come from is incredibly complex and deep. And we don't really know. We don't even know where our own issues are. We definitely don't. We know very, very little about others. So to have that attitude, I don't think it's helpful. I think even to yourself, it's probably not that helpful. I think it's helpful to say, I'm going to take one step at a time, but that's not the same thing as saying, it's not a big deal.
This is where I'll tell you where I'm coming from. I think it's helpful to know that it's helpful to think that your problems aren't big because they're easily resolvable. If you can think that way, it's really helpful, because it makes it solvable. If you think your problems are insurmountable, then you make it harder to solve. And this is the perspective I want to add to it. You are not, most of the problems that people are suffering from, they're not being hit with a stick. And I've suffered deeply with depression and stuff like that as well. So I'm not coming from a place where I don't know what I'm talking about. I do think, if I was looking back, they were psychological problems. If I twisted my perspective a little bit, I could solve so many of my problems one step at a time, right? I'm not saying it's just like easy peasy completely. You do have to, like, I'm not saying that the problems are negligible or not important, because they're the problems that we might kill ourselves for. But at the same time, they are mental problems. If we can change our perspective, and I think there's a lot of truth in this, that if we can change our perspective, we can solve a lot of our problems.
I mean, there's a few things here. Okay, let's ask, do you think, if you were to go back, be honest with yourself, at that time, and somebody said to you, this is just a mental problem, don't worry about it, don't take it too seriously.
I'm not saying that. I'm giving practical solutions. This is what you should do. I'm not saying don't worry about it. I'm saying this is a mental problem. I'm talking to myself 20 years ago, right? Okay. Yeah. I would love to know there's a solution. And I would say, I'm still kind of logical person I used to be, right? And I'll say, okay, somebody's telling me I'm not being hit with a stick. That is true. And somebody's telling me these problems are in my head. That is true. And sometimes I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? That my life's okay. I'm not suffering. I'm not hungry. And what's going on? Why am I not happy? And loads of people realize that. Like, you could have millions of pounds and you're being really annoyed that you're not the happiest person in the world. And there's a weird frustration about that. And it's a mental perspective thing. Wouldn't you like to know that your problems it's possible to solve your problems?
Of course, yeah. I mean, of course, people want to know that their problems are solvable. I don't know. I just think there's just so many different possibilities. It's a bit. Maybe the first problem is it's generalizing. That's number one. Before you even get into the details, it's just generalizing. But then, let's say somebody doesn't have such a big problem. Even then, right? The person your younger self might have taken that. And that might be a very positive thing. I think for many people, that's not necessarily very helpful, right?
Okay, so I think psychology is generalizing, and generalizing helps us in many ways. Because if we think we are completely different to everybody else, and our problems are not like other people's problems, then we can't solve them. But if we know, for example, that we are built to serve people, and when we start serving people, we become happier, then that generalization can really help people. And people, I think we do make the problems worse by saying we're special and all this kind of stuff, and it can't be solved, and we're being insensitive or something.
Okay, so here's the thing. So when you're building a software, what do? you find out exactly, say, okay, well, you know, what's the vision, right? And then you make a plan, and then you fill in all the details, and then you implement it, right? That's how real life works. Psychological, emotional, physical, spiritual, economical, everything works like that.
Make
right?
a plan, yeah, and go for it. Yeah.
Well, it's not so much the plan. My point is, it has many the devil's in the detail, right?
Yeah.
And each thing you have to figure out itself how it's going to work, right?
Yeah.
And you cannot have just a principle. Well, how am I going to build this thing? Well, what you need to do it. How am I going to build the software? Well, what you need to do is you need to put in X. If you type in X, it will make it happen. It'll just solve your problem. You'll be able to build the software. No,
but it's the principles that get me forward. My principles work for me, and I think they work for anybody. My principles are every day, wake up, follow the routine.
I think, like I said, I agree that there are certain principles that work. That's not the same thing as saying that the principles will solve the problem. Those are two separate things. Right. In other words, you could have the principles, but not just the principles. That's what I'm saying. Right. So the principles, you need certain principles. You need to eat every day, or at least you need to eat, every week. At least you need to drink water every day. You know, if you miss a day of water, if you're fasting, it's not a big deal. You know, once in a while. But in general, there's loads of principles you can say. You got to think positive. Sure, there's loads of principles. There's millions of principles. But when you're talking about sorting out a problem, you need to know the specific problem, right? And you need to know what the problem is. Many times,
I think the principles get you through every single problem.
Well, it depends. No, it depends.
So let's think about the principle. Like, first of all, let's just be really specific. Bravery. I think that's one of the issues that, like, how you can define bravery in different ways, but I would define it in this way: like, you feel crap, like you feel like a nobody, and like, how are you going to achieve these huge things that need to be solved? Very practical things like getting a job and stuff like that. How do you have the bravery just to take one step? Wake up tomorrow, have breakfast, and I don't know, start filling in your CV. How do you gain that bravery? And I'll give you the one word answer. You don't do it for yourself. You do it because it's the right thing to do. Your service to humanity. As soon as you take yourself out of the equation, you can start moving forwards. What do you think about that? Tell me how I'm wrong. I'd love to be told how I'm wrong.
It's like, this is what I've been saying from the beginning. It's not a question of right or wrong. It's a question of generalization. It might be suitable for one person. It might not be suitable for somebody else.
Cool.
I mean, look, you know, here's the thing. I'll give you an example. So working hard is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
I mean, you work hard, you feel good. At the end of the day,
working hard towards a good goal. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Now the thing is, in the Holocaust, in the Nazi concentration camps, they put up a sign that says "Arbeit macht frei," which means that work makes free. Right? It's obviously a very, very cynical and disgusting thing that they did. They wanted to give Jewish people hope, so that when they slave labor, they feel like they're working towards something. Really, they're just being killed. Now that's a very, very extreme example. But I think that even though this is an extreme example, we have very, very smaller examples in real life. Yeah, your boss will tell you, "Oh, you got to work harder. You're being lazy." Really, it's just for himself, right? Or somebody doesn't want to deal with a problem. They say, "Yeah, just put more effort into it," and they don't want to. They don't want to deal with the details. There's just too much details. So they just try to say, just work harder, or just don't think negative, or this. And I think that when you deal with principles can very, 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 very easily be misled. And when you're dealing with real situations, sometimes a principle can work. Very often, it's not about the principle; it's about a specific thing, and you need to sort out that specific thing. And that's what I'm saying.
Sure. Okay. Let's deal with maybe you're right that we should go through.
Can we read these comments? Maybe
exactly.
Women claim that to be a problem, especially mothers, or they often told that by other women.
Do you understand that?
No. Is that written correctly?
Women claim to that to be a problem, especially mothers, claim to be a problem.
Can you write that again, Mike? Can you write that again?
They are often told that they are women. Okay. Well,
anyway. So
I don't want to guess what that is. Maybe I've got an idea. Let's go from the top. We've done. Okay, what's this one? These small things: nutrition, place, climate, recreation.
It's from Nietzsche. I'm not going to respond to Nietzsche. It's just a quote.
Oh, okay, it's just a quote. Okay, fine. So you don't want to respond to quotes?
You can. I personally don't.
You don't like Nietzsche or something? Is there something about Nietzsche?
I don't really like Nietzsche, but
you can tell us how he's wrong or something if you don't like Nietzsche.
Okay, well, I don't know if it's wrong. I haven't read it. These small things: nutrition, place, climate, recreation, the whole causality of selfishness, are inconceivably more important than everything one has taken to be important so far. I don't even know what to say about that. I mean, people.
Okay, so it sounds like that our surroundings for the whole.
I think a lot of people.
I don't know what.
There's some people that focus on nutrition a lot. There's people that focus on climate a lot. There's people that focus on recreation a lot. This is generalizations. I don't have any comments on it.
Okay, I would respond that it's not just your nutrition and things like that. It's if you have a sense of purpose, and psychologists have said that that's essential to your happiness. If you've got a sense of purpose and you've got a sense of rules that help you keep that balance, then you'll go a long way. Yeah.
I think sense of purpose is really, really important. Here's the thing: if you're missing a sense of purpose or sense of meaning, I think that I can't see you can have a I was going to say you can't have a meaningful life, but I guess that's tautological. But like it's not a good. It's eventually it will cause suffering, because if you, let's say, if you don't have meaning, so what do you have? You have pleasure, right? Or suffering. What else do you have? If you don't have meaning, then it's either pleasure or suffering. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So if you have suffering, well, you're suffering. And if you have pleasure, it's going to lead, without meaning, it's going to lead to suffering. So I think that meaning is something that's a principle that I think you can't get around. That you need. Well,
you have to have meaning. Yeah, because there's always something that's going to get in your way. It's not even things that get in your way. I know people who chase
Can you
pleasure,
scroll down the comments? Is there any more comments? Is that the bottom of the comments?
Oh wow, there's loads. Oh no, it's not.
Are you the one that's choosing the comments, or how's it work?
I'm choosing. I'm just clicking on them.
Yeah, can you click on?
There's no more after. That's the bottom one.
Oh, okay.
Have we clicked on this one? Remember that silence is sometimes the best answer. Blah blah blah. I don't know. Not really. I don't think so. If you got something to say, then it's not the best answer. If you don't have a clue, then don't share a guess. We've already responded to that. Yeah, you might claim that you're not suffering, but of course, many people are. There's like a massive problem with suicide at the moment. So clearly, there are people who want help. That's totally true. What you said earlier on, awesome. And I think anybody who says, my experience is anybody who says, like, who's oblivious to other people suffering is probably suffering. That's my opinion. That's my experience. Just that's how human beings are built. Like, people who are empathetic and kind, whatever, they're the ones who really enjoy life. And people who are oblivious to other people's pain, that your soul will hate you for that. That's my experience. That's my experience. And yes, there's a lot of self-hate. We talked about self-hate last time, and self-hate comes from not doing the right thing, in my opinion. You can try as an experiment. Not everything can be told like as a factual scientific truth so far, but there's lots of evidence to say things along those lines, like the opposite. Like if you are they've done experiments to say that if you do things for other people, like if you buy coffee for somebody, you enjoy it more than buying coffee for yourself, for example. So there is something about doing things for other people make you happy. And I think the reverse would also be true, that if you're really selfish, you're going to be really miserable. And part of being selfish is to not care about other people, and the fact that so many people are suffering. So that's really important. But maybe that's not what Mike was saying. He's saying not all white people are suffering. Yeah. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. So what other things can we attack in the last 7 minutes? This is such a big problem. There must be more to add. What do you? Okay. If I think this is a really good, powerful thing to overcome all problems, and I want you to tell me how I'm wrong. If you make your life, and this works for me so well, if you make your life about helping other people, you stop feeling your own pain, and you're positive, and you learn, and you keep stepping forwards. Like if you're not really suffering, you just have fun and do positive things, like you're serving people. You just keep making progress every day. And I think that's really important. Like if you positive action leads to positive results over time, they compound. And you can only do that if you can only really do that when you're serving other people. A couple of claims there. Some of that makes sense, I think. What's your response?
Well,
too many things there.
I think it's true, but yeah, I think it's true.
Cool. Okay, if that's true, and people realize that's true, that would be so huge. I'll be so happy that people just took that on board and tried that for a week, and suddenly their lives were progressing. What the hell? That's pretty amazing.
I don't believe, for me, that's personally, I don't think that would be my message, because I think that the purpose of people interacting is having a connection, which means that you actually learn about that person. And the whole point, like, you could have written that in a book, you could have written that on a piece of paper, you could, you don't need to connect with people in order to impart that. I think when it comes to I think
I am writing a book, by the way.
The real magic of life is when you connect with people and you learn about their problems. So for me, I wouldn't try to give out any principles. I would try to listen to where they're coming from, empathize with them, and see.
I do all of the above. So I'm writing a book. Yeah. I'm writing a book. Yeah. I do this, and also I do it in a way where there's no advice given. I say shalom to you, peace be upon you, and everybody in the streets here we say salam, and there's no advice given. It's positive vibes. So you're just doing all of it, and it's all important. The community, the three things that we need: God, unity, and service. If we do those three things, we're good. Yeah. We'll feel good about ourselves, and we make progress in our lives. And that's the petrol that we need to keep going.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I think that there's a difference between. I think that when it comes to, like, what I believe a message is, I think that having meaning and having purpose is really important. Helping each other is important.
It seems like we're saying it in a vacuum, isn't it? Okay, so I kind of get where you're coming from. Like, we need to solve an actual people. I'm always talking to loads of people who have different problems, right? And I have one friend who complains about feeling alone. This is one of the three things that he doesn't have, and he struggles with actually making progress, even though he's been successful in some ways, right? He's made money, but he's unhappy and he's not making other progress. He's not continuing his progress. And one of the things is he's missing community, even though he's part of a community, but he didn't take part in the community. And this is the thing that loads of people struggle with. They don't sacrifice time for their friends. They think the friends should just be there, right? I'm the one, every week I call him. Okay, sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not, and he doesn't make time for any other friends. So I'm not angry with him. He knows who he is and whatever. I mean, not like he's not listening anyway. He probably doesn't listen to this, right? But the point is, like, I
It's a
don't
good point.
tell him off
Yeah.
about it. But
Yeah.
that's a really important thing. That's one of the ingredients. You have to sacrifice for other
That's a
people,
good point. Yeah.
and then you'll
that's
keep
true.
your friends, and then you'll keep going. That's just one of the ingredients. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's actually really, really important. I don't think I sacrifice enough for for friends and relationships. I think it's a very, very important point. Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it maybe sometimes it feels like it's easier said than done, but I'm doing it all the time, right? It's like I could have in the past. I used to be trying to run 100 miles an hour. Actually, I'm working. I work like crazy all the time anyway. Still, right? So people shouldn't think like, oh, this is the bum's way forward or something. Yeah, like oh, just having just chilling out all the time. I work really hard, but any moment I can, I'm asking how my friends are. I make it like a regular schedule on the weekends. I must do something for other people. And I'll tell you this, that it's me that's calling all my friends. They don't go, hey, shall we hang out? But then we hang out.
So none of your friends call you?
No, not really. They're not the ones who organize stuff. I organize everything. And so this is really interesting. Like you're saying, like maybe you're saying like a fun criticism, which is fine. This is cool. And it's easy to feel crap about it as well. Like,
So I'm saying, what's a criticism?
No, it might be a criticism that like none of my friends call me, but I'm the one who call them, which is fine. Yeah, I know, no, but it's totally fine. It's a really important thing, right? Because a lot of people feel that because when you start this, we're in the individualistic society. This is very likely to happen, right? Okay. Or people are not just as proactive as they're supposed to be in life, right? So you might feel crap that you are organizing stuff. Why does it have to be you? Okay. And I would say, put it this way, the person who gives is the one who's better off. Really, they are. The one who organizes the stuff, whatever. There's it's just beautiful. Yeah. Just be that one, and you won't feel bad about it. You just become stronger and stronger. You just become
that's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, so I like to finish on time. I really appreciate you being here on Nossum.
I know you didn't like to focus on that, but I am curious why he left. I think it is worth to speak to him, say like, oh, is everything okay? Because
that's a good point. It's a good point. Yeah. Because he's been really nice and been a regular. But it happens as well. We have our ups and downs as well.
Like you might have said something that offended him, or I may have said something that offended. If you ask him, you can resolve it in a minute. Whereas if you don't, you say, okay, I don't care, but then it's a wasted of, like, you could have resolved it. Do you know what I mean? Excellent point,
because I can be quite flippant as well, right? So like absolutely, and I'm always taking advice from different people, by the way, and that's a really important thing. Like it's like, because we always become a little bit one-sided, like careless or something, and then somebody tells us, and then you listen to the other person and you benefit from it. You're absolutely right. And he's been really good and really helpful, so why not? You're absolutely right, we should do that. But people should deal with the fact that people can get upset, and that's not the end of the world, and can get resolved. It might not get resolved in 1 week, it might get resolved in a few months or something, but it gets resolved. We've had our ups and downs, maybe, I think, what I mean? That's kind of, I don't know, but like we didn't talk for a few months, not in the downs, but we just took a break or something, and then we're back talking again.
Had a break for a few months.
Whatever, stuff happens. All right, absolutely loved your company here. Really appreciate it. I think cool. Catch you another time.
You too. Bye. Take care, man. Okay, bye.
Shalom. Bye.
Shalom. How do you leave?